All right, here we are, still working on making pastels. And I just wanted to point out, these are the banana leaves that you saw me toasting previously. Here are some that the last time I sat down with these, I wiped them with oil, sort of like in a preparatory cleaning step. But they got a little crispy. Whoa, crispy. See, look at that hole. We just punched a hole. Okay, so the moral of the story is don't do the oil until you're ready to use them. So right now I'm going to be working on making the batter. Not the batter, the stuff that goes inside. So for that, I held back on doing it without good old Worcestershire sauce. And then when I went, I saw there were two different kinds of Worcestershire sauce on sale. One is French's and Lee & Perrin. So this bottle is 5 ounces and this bigger bottle is 15 ounces. But this big bottle costs $2 on sale from probably like $3.59. And this tiny little bottle cost $2.50 or something. Anyway, so I figured I might as well, in the process of doing this experiment of making pastels, I should go ahead and do an experiment, split the batter into filling into, and then use a different kind of Worcestershire sauce on each. And then we'll tie the things with string of different colors or something. That way we'll know, so that when we do our taste test, we'll be able to figure it out. So now I will look at the recipe to see what I actually have to do to make this thing. Okay, so the way this is reading, it says you need 3 cups of green corn or cornmeal, a pound of minced beef, which is in the fridge, 2 large tomatoes, so I'll call 3 medium tomatoes, 2 large, right? A tablespoon of vinegar. I'll check and make sure I have that. I have some kind of vinegar there. Black pepper, capers, raisins, onions, cooking oil, sweet pepper, chives. And then it says chop all green seasonings, mix with meat, and brown in hot oil. So that's what I'm going to do first. But at the same time, I'm going to add the chopped tomatoes. I'm going to chop the tomatoes and sweet peppers. And where does the onion get added? The onion, what? They don't have onions. Oh, 2 medium onions. What is this? This is like a large, right? So is it 1 large equal to medium? And so I'm going to cut everything up first so that I don't have to do that later. Okay? So that's what you're going to see me doing right now. Okay, so now I said 2 blades of chives, but these things are so tiny, I can't imagine that anyone would have 2 of these, so I'm going to put more. And look at me, I left them out, so I got a little wilty. So we're going to cut off the wilty part, which would probably bring it down to 2 blades anyway. Chives are so pretty. Delicate. Just trying to make this easy so I'm not chopping too much. Okay, so there are our chives. Now we're going to get the, that smells good. 2 medium onions. So you cook this down quite a bit, but I want to make sure that we don't have big chunks in it, because I think that will diminish the experience, the eating experience. So there we go. I want to say thank you to Jack, who provided the banana leaves and the ability for me to make the last video. And everything else was purchased from the market, which I was hoping that I could get some local stuff from people around the neighborhood, but it's winter time. Not too much is growing now, and hey, not too many will grow anyway. So, and these onions are actually getting my eyes right now. So, oh, nice. Supposed to be 2 medium onions, so I'm gonna say 1 large definitely equals 2 medium. Oh, you see me crying here? Lovely, lovely. So when it says saute all the green stuff, does the onion count as green? Because I didn't see anywhere where it said add in the onion, so it must be. I'll check again. Oh my gosh, does this happen to you when you do onions? Is there an easy way? Don't cut off your fingers, Trish. That does not make for a good video. Woo! Ha! Whoa, see. Yikes. Oh my gosh. Oh. I guess I could use one of those chopping things. I wonder if I have a device. Let me see if I have a device. Here, I have one for cutting apples. How do you do that? I think just kind of go with it. Oh, that feels better. Standing up is better above the oils now. My next video will be about why do onions make you cry? There we go. Nice. All right. How'd you like them apples? Now, let me wash these tomatoes. Okay, here we go. Turn off the timer. Okay, so now we're getting the tomatoes. So, 2 large tomatoes or 3 small. Again, we're cutting it pretty small because we want it to be nice and not overwhelmed by the veggies, but integrated. Whatever that means. I'm just talking. Okay, so this form of video that you're watching here is called experiential. As I explained to people around me, experiential because that way it's like you're here, you're talking to me, you're seeing what I'm doing, and we're cutting it up together here at my table, you know? So for you, those of you who are my friends, my family, or just random people on the internet, you know, welcome to my home. Okay? Sometimes ends up being a little long, and I'm sure I'm going to hear some comments about that and about the comment that I'm making about it being long. But That's all part of experiential videos. Wait, you could leave it. I'm gonna do a fast-forwarded version with some of these moments fast-forwarded, but at least one of them you'll be able to hear the words that I'm saying to you right now, and you'll be able to get the full experience. Okay. Now these tomatoes are beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Quite enjoying cutting them up. What I'm going to do after I do all of this is I'm going to divide everything into two. Oh, I'll have to think about how I do this, how I do the cooking so that I get two different kinds of Worcestershire sauce in there. And have it be, you know, reasonably equal. Because we're doing a taste test to see if there is a difference between the different kinds of Worcestershire. And if there is, which one wins. Because we can. And why waste an opportunity to have some fun like that? Can I eat one? Okay. All right. All right. Let's take a break. Okay, here we are, Lean Parents and French's. Okay, now this is where we have to make sure that we're not going to mess it up too much. Now, this particular recipe does not have the Worcestershire sauce described in it. But I did find another recipe book. The Naparima Girls Diamond Jubilee recipe book, and it says pastels. Here they use the whole bunch of chives. I'm gonna put more chives in it. 2 onions, 1 pound beef, hot pepper to taste. Don't have any hot pepper. They use garlic too. Shoot. And thyme. Anyway, a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. So I'm going to put half a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce in each half pound of meat. So I think that'll work. Let me go wash my hands. Okay, I'm back. All right. So just because I don't want to be touching the bottle, when I'm touching the meat, I'm going to open it up. And let's see, open this up. Okay, it's already open. So we'll half a teaspoon for it. So the seasonings in this thing is what really is the big deal. And I am going to reuse the spoon. So I guess I'll wipe it, I'll wash it out. Okay, half a teaspoon, that's good. Okay, wash out the spoon. You don't want to contaminate it. Lean Parents with the other thing, because that would make it less scientific, right? As scientific as one gets. Oop, there you go. Good. I think this needs a little extra because of that. There. All right, we are ready to rock. Now we take the meat. So again, this is sirloin, so you know it's not as fatty as some of the other kinds of meat you can get, like the regular ground beef, but I like sirloin. Tastes really good. And so I'm going to break this in half. Again, very scientific. And then I'm going to squish it in like that, because I figure that seasonings need to be squished in advance. Yeah, gross. Gross. Alright, and now this one. using different hands. So these are going to get stir fried with the chives and the other stuff like that. So, okay, now, oh, French's, Lean Parents. This is going to be hard. I got to find a marker. Way to mark it. French's is red, Lean Parents is yellow. All right, let me figure this out. Get rid of this thing. Okay, here we go. Corn cob holder, French's. Hope I remember that. All right, now I gotta cut more chives because the second recipe had more chives, and I thought having just 3 blades of chives wasn't good enough, and I think it was right. So. So we're using the whole bunch of chives, but what happened was in the whole preparing for this and having to go shopping for Worcestershire and whatnot, I left the chives out, so I'm going to take off all of the icky parts. Anything that doesn't look green. Even if it's a little wilty, I think we can keep it, but I just don't think it makes sense to keep the green with ones that aren't green. Maybe not that. Yeah, I hate when I forget stuff out like that. But it's just chives, so. It's not like it was meat or something like that. That would be bad. Just want to say hi to my friends out there. You know who you are. Watching this, watching Trish make pastelles for the very first time. Something every Trini should know how to do, and I did not. Because I would just eat it as a kid, never had to make it. Wasn't curious at all. But, you know, eventually we get around to that. Having a little bit of nostalgia. Blah, 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 blah. Experiential, my people. I'm going to put up a little link to another experiential video that many have had some things to say about. And as in mostly, you could fast forward it, or you could end it at time, this, whatever. Okay, here we go. Getting a little full here now. So what I'm going to do is, as soon as I have these chives cut, I'm going to mix it into the 2 different sets of meat, because this is getting very full here, and they're going to get mixed up in the thing as soon as I have to put it in the pot anyway. And isn't that how you season meat? Is you mix up the greens and the stuff like that? I'm going to say the answer is yes. Is that what you have to say about that chowder? Right. Okay. Very scientific here. 1 bunch, 2 bunch, 2. Okay, a bunch right here. Okay, all right, now let's put the onions. 1 bunch. One batch. One batch. One batch. Okay, good. One batch. One batch. Nice. Okay, great. Now I'll mix it up and then I will put it in the pot to cook it down. Mix it up. Might as well. Like we're making meatballs. Okay. And one over there. Oh yeah, and the other one had this recipe that is behind me had garlic too, which I usually like to put garlic and stuff, but this is all we're gonna do, and then we'll have to play with this recipe to see if we can find one that works better than the other. Okay. Now I'm going to wash my hands again, turn off the camera, and go get the pot set up for cooking. Camera off. Okay, I guess we weren't ready for that because I was reading ahead and it looks like I'm supposed to have a quarter of a red pepper, sweet red pepper. Now, I seem to recall in the old days that that was something called pimento and it was small. So this is where the translation gets a little odd, because if you're reading this and you don't know about pimentos, you're going to choose something like that, right? And certainly that's what I'm going to do because I don't remember very well. So if you guys are Trini and you know, and there's a pimento I'm supposed to be using, which we don't happen to have pimentos here in California, as far as I know anyway, then let me know and I will probably find I have to use much less pepper than I'm using now, but we will hold that for another day. I'll just use a quarter of a full-size bell pepper, okay? And so the other thing I'm finding is that the ingredients that they call out and the ingredients that they say to put in to the mix are not quite the same. Like they don't tell you when to put the pepper and stuff like that, so I'm just going to put it all now. I have to do some olives. So it says how many olives I have to do. 3 capers. And they don't tell you about the olives. 3 capers of sweet pickles. What? No olives? This is so wrong. Alright, we gotta have olives. Let me see what this other recipe book says. Yes. Yes, 2 tablespoons of olives. So, thank goodness I remember, because that's what really makes it good. So I'm gonna say 2 tablespoons. Let's say each 3 olives is a tablespoon. Okay, and then it wants 3 capers. I'm gonna pick out 3 capers, which seems like not very much, but maybe they're really strong. All right, let me taste this. Love capers. This is exactly what we look for, and it makes the pastelle. So I'm going to put more capers. Chef's choice. This is what makes it really good. Great. Argentine olives, not black olives, not California black. So I think I told you guys before, if you don't have a neighbor with a banana tree in California, then you can also get your banana leaves at some of the local markets. Check a Filipino market, or Mexican markets might have it. Fun. We're cutting up these capers because they're so tiny. They have to go a long way. Now, the other interesting question here is I have a vegetarian in the house. I'm not really sure how to make vegetarian pastels. So I'm going to decide what to do. I have some potato boiling. I'm going to do some carrots. And I might just do something that way. There we go. Great. Now we need some rice vinegar. And it says how much rice vinegar? A tablespoon. So let's make that. Trish measure again. 2 teaspoons. Oh, they have half tablespoons, so I could measure that. Teaspoon, tablespoon. Where is half a tablespoon? I think 2 teaspoons will be okay. And 2. Okay. All right, the other thing, their preparation for these banana leaves is different. It says wipe them clean and then steam them before you use them. And oh well, I messed up on that. So, okay, now we're going to cook it down in 2 separate pots. Then we're going to separate the tomatoes in half. And then we're going to add those. And then we're going to use it in 2 separate batches. So, great. So it's gonna brown it in hot oil. So I have some vegetable oil, well, very tiny bit, and then there's some grapeseed oil, and then we're gonna brown it down. I'm gonna reuse the pan. I decided this is too much work. So I'm gonna do one, and then I'm gonna do the other. I'm gonna stick this back in here, and so that's how we'll do it. Okay, this is the oil. We'll do the one Lee and Parents first. Just toss it all in there and mix it up to brown. There it is, cooking away. And then before we take this one off and put the next one in the pot, we're going to add the tomatoes. We don't want to have to do that in 2 phases. I would have thought it would have browned faster. Taken a little while. Added the tomatoes, but I'm going to tell you at this point I am a little disappointed in the flavor. I tasted a little bit of the meat, and I think I'm going to add more olives because that's the flavor I remember for pastels in Trinidad. Lots of olives and capers. So. And I went ahead and washed the bowl, so we'll put it back in the bowl and we'll know that we don't have any bad bacteria in there. So here we are. This is the second one. And I'm a little disappointed in the flavor of the first, but I might taste them both and do the taste test at the filling stage and try to test it up a bit, because there's no point in making pastels if you don't think the filling is tasting good already, right? So that's what we're going to do. Okay? Gosh, I forget the raisins. So let's put half of a cup, which is like a quarter cup in there. And maybe that's why it wasn't tasting so good. So, and I'll go back and pile the next group into the pot too. Because these raisins give it a sweet flavor. Alright. Into tomato, and then I'm going to toss some pepper in. This is where we go back to the book recipe, the Naparima Girls book recipe. 2 cups cornmeal, 3 cups water, 4 tablespoons corn oil, or a quarter pound of butter, and 1 1/4 teaspoon salt. Because what's happening is the other one wants to use green corn, which is like you grate the corn off the cob, which I totally am not going to do. Don't have corn right now. Making pasta for dinner because pastels won't be ready on time. Yellow cornmeal, 2 cups, 3 cups of water, 1/4 cup of butter, because we don't use margarine, and then 1 teaspoon of salt instead of 1 1/4, and then mix it up, and then make little balls, and then we're going to use those in that. Almost there. Okay, it definitely needs the fat. Here's the fat. I'm going to mix it together and see if it'll ball up. Apparently not.
Come on. Come. Come on. Let's go outside.
So apparently not all cornmeal is made the same. This is not looking like it's mixing up too well. It's a little bit coarsely grained, and so I've been looking for more recipes, and one of them says there's a kind called promassa that I need to use if we can find it, and the picture showed not cornmeal but cornmeal flour, so this is not what I need to do. So I'm going to use this for something else. I have to figure out what first, and so we're putting a hold.